Hello students, in this video we are going to solve the exercise of lesson number 7 for 12th standard science as well as art students for geography subject, that is region and regional development. So the first question is identify the correct groups. Now in this question you have been given 4 groups, okay, like group A, group B, group C and group D. So out of all these 4 groups you have to correct one single group. Okay, so here the right answer is Vidarbha, Konkan, Marathwada, Khandesh. Okay, so this is the right answer, that is option D out of all the groups which are given. Second question is again A, B, C, D. So here we have the options, like 4 options, and out of all these options one option is correct, that is option C. In the case of C, we have all the forest like tropical forest, thorny forest, mangrove forest and deciduous forest. So because of that, it's the correct option. Now the next question is differentiate between. So in differentiate between, we have the first differentiate, that is functional region and formal region. So, what is the difference between functional and formal? Now, functional region is a specific only for one area, whereas formal region, it is physical in nature. Areas are organized well in functional region and they have only one focus point like university or airport. In the case of formal region, we have specific boundaries that set them apart. In the case of functional region, there is no common characteristic, but functions are more important, which binds all the regions together. In the case of formal region, there are some characteristics like economic activity or some common language, some common tradition, some common religion. Functional regions are often metropolitan area that consist of major cities and lot of smaller towns, whereas formal regions are homogeneous and they are inhabited by social groups, social cultures, societies and nations. Functional region is tied to a central point of transportation system or an economic system, whereas formal regions are organized and represented by small systems or part systems. Functional regions have functions and also works together from a part of an economic and social system, whereas the formal regions are clear-cut political boundaries. Functional regions are defined by a set of activities and formal regions are some political units where all the peoples are subject to the same law and government. तो शॉर्ट में अगर आप देखोगे तो फंक्शनल रीजन में क्या होता है कि कुछ पॉइंट्स होते हैं लाइक यूनिवर्सिटी, एयरपोर्ट, सो दैट बाइंड्स द एरिया टुगेदर. और फॉर्मल में ऐसा नहीं है, इट बाइंड्स द बाइंड together with the help of the activities which human do. Okay, like if they have same religion, they stay together. If they have same language, so this comes under your formal region. Now next difference is between physical region and political region. So physical region is an area of land divided by natural boundaries. जो हम देख सकते हैं कि we have the boundary for district, we have the boundary for state, we have the boundary for country. तो जो हम physically देख सकते हैं, that is the boundaries. Political regions tend to be based as the political units such as sovereign states like administrative region, provinces, states and township. Now example of physical region is what? Interior plains of USA, borders of Appalachian Mountains and Rocky Mountains in the west. Whereas the example for political region is USA, state of Maharashtra. So each and every region has a certain political boundary. Next is, in physical regions are all natural regions, whereas political regions are made by man. Next is, physical regions are almost unchangeable. You cannot change the physical things very easily, whereas political regions are also not permanent regions. Next is question number 3. Write a short note on factors affecting regional development. Now what are the factors which are going to affect some development of some particular region? So there are the factors like climate, transportation, location, how is the population, what type of land use is done. So all these things are going to affect the development of that region. Now, regional development occurs only near the favorable places which are favorable for mankind, which have good amenities, good facilities, good accessibility. So, such regions are more developed always. So, hence, the developed countries have all these things in Asian countries also and in USA also. There is a poor development of economic activity in the area which have unfavorable climate. So there are some extremely hot areas, extremely cold areas, hilly and mountainous areas. So such areas are totally unfavorable, and because of that they lack in development. So places like northern part of Russia, so this is also not developed much. Next is location of a region is also important. So what is the location of that region, whether it has accessibility or not, how is the trade, what is the transportation mode which they are using, all these things are also considered. Then natural resources availability is also checked, whether it is having rich natural resources, then definitely there will be employment chances, skilled labors will be attracted, and definitely that area will be densely populated. On the other hand, there are some of the places where there is absence of trade, where there is absence of accessibility, absence of coastal line, hence they are very poor in the development. So there are places like Afghanistan and Nepal, so these are the poor economic countries which are lagging in development. The economic development in any region depends upon the quality as well as the quantity of the people. So if there are so many people but they are not skilled at all, then that also it is of no use. And if there are very little people but still they are smart working, they are very much skilled, then definitely it is going to lead to the growth of the economy of a certain country. So it also depends on the population, how well educated the population is. Now let us move further to the second short note, that is measures to reduce regional imbalance. Now each and every region has its own physical properties, has its own characteristic. Okay, so there is a regional imbalance. Okay, so the underdeveloped regions are identified by the physical, economic and social reasons for non-development are studied. So regions which require monetary support in a particular sector or field are funded through sector-wise investment to improve the condition. Subsidies are given to certain sectors which are lagging behind, and the government is trying to improve and do more investment in certain regions. To like, what are the investment which governments do, like construction of roads, schools, universities, medicals, health facilities, industries, so that certain remote areas should get more special attention from the other regions. Okay, so there are some places which are more vulnerable or prone to disaster like earthquake, drought, famines. Okay, so such type of places are also being developed and they are being maintained by the government. The very important strategy to reduce regional imbalance is decentralization of industrialization. Okay, now let us move further for question number 4. Give geographical reason. Now first is regional development is dependent on physical setting. So the physical factors like relief, climate, locations affect the regional development. It occurs where trade, agro-based industries, trade is developed in quantity. So example like Asian countries have developed agriculture and trade of agricultural good. Plain and relief, sufficient rainfall, moderate temperature is an characteristic of this area. There are some areas which are very poor because of unfavorable climate, extreme climate. So there the development is very low. There are some countries where the broken coastline is available, which later on is converted into a port. So such countries are also developed very easily. On the other hand, landlocked countries remains isolated. They cannot develop trade due to the absence of coastline. Such countries have poor economic development. अभी landlocked का मतलब क्या है कि the countries which do not have any coastal line, they are not surrounded by water from any side, they are always covered by the land. Such countries are called as landlocked countries. So they cannot use waterways transportation. Okay. So because of that, such countries are also very poor in the economic development. So the countries of Afghanistan and Nepal is an example. Thus, there is a relationship between regional development, physical factors, and therefore we can say the regional development depends on the physical factors. Next question is, factors like literacy, poverty affects the regional development. Now, literacy and poverty are the important factors which go hand by hand. If there is high literacy rate, definitely the poverty is going to decrease. Okay, if the literacy rate is high, the employment chances will be low, the people will start earning, the GDP will be more, the per capita income will be more. Ultimately, it is going to result to the development of that certain region. So due to literacy rate, the population growth is also controlled. People understand the meaning of family planning. The resources are shared properly. All the population is satisfied and they get the essentials properly as per their need. Purchasing power resulting in a decline in the demand of goods, which reduces the production and drops the economic development as well as GDP of a country. Hence, poverty and literacy affect the regional development. Next is question number 3. Development is not seen in Himalaya region. So, relief and climate are the most important factors which affect the development of any region. The Himalaya region has high mountains with steep slopes, as we all know, and it is totally covered by snow. These areas have heavy soil erosion because of glaciers. So, agriculture is not at all developed in Himalaya region. In this mountainous region, the transportation mode also is very poor. We cannot construct road, railway lines over there. It is very expensive to develop the transportation facilities. Hence, there is poor development of cities, poor development of transportation, and because of that, even the industrialization is not developed there. Since because of all these factors, these are literally unfavorable for humans, unfavorable for any type of setup or startup. Hence, the development of Himalaya region is very, very poor. Next is question number 5, answer in details. अभी first question है, what is a region? अभी region is what? Region is an area of a country or any part of the world having the common feature. कुछ भी common feature है तो उसे हम एक region बुलाएंगे. Thus, there is a difference between two regions based on the features. अभी वो features कुछ भी हो सकते हैं. Features physical हो सकते हैं, language हो सकता है, religion हो सकता है. Okay, climate can also be one of the feature. There can be some other features which are made by man. तो नेचुरल भी हो सकते हैं और मैन मेड भी हो सकते हैं. अभी मैन मेड फीचर्स, व्हाट आर दोज फीचर्स? दीज आर द एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एंड पॉलिटिकल बाउंड्रीज. अभी रीजन कैन बी स्मॉल, इट कैन बी बिग. ओके, इट इज़ नॉट लाइक दैट कि रीजन स्मॉल ही होने चाहिए, बिग ही होने चाहिए. इट इज़ बेस्ड ऑन दी सर्टन टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस. द लार्ज रीजन्स ऑल्सो इंक्लूड्स द सब रीजन. जैसे कि एक स्टेट में बहुत सारे छोटे छोटे डिस्ट्रिक्ट होते हैं, वैसे एक बड़े रीजन में उसके अंडर छोटे छोटे सब रीजन्स भी हो सकते हैं. लाइक एग्जाम्पल, द प्लेट्यू रीजन ऑफ इंडिया हैज़ वेरियस सब रीजन्स लाइक छोटा नागपुर प्लेट्यू, मालवा प्लेट्यू, मारवाड़ प्लेट्यू, डेक्कन प्लेट्यू. ठीक है. The main characteristics of regions are that it has a geographical location mentioned along with latitude and longitudes. Every region has a specific boundary. The area of another region starts beyond that. अभी boundary तो बहुत important है because we need to understand that which region stops where and when is the next region going to start. So the extent of the region depends on the homogeneity of any region. There are sub-regions in one region, therefore regions can be arranged into different orders on the basis of some features. Now there are total two types of regions, that is formal and functional. अभी formal जो region है, it is also known as uniform region or homogeneous region because it has one special common quality in it. It can be any physical characteristic like climate, relief, or it can be any social or economic common language. Okay, so in formal regions there are boundaries which distinct states or countries may be formal region. For example, USA, Canada हो, ये सारे formal regions है. अभी functional regions क्या होते हैं? Functional regions are those regions which have the political or physical regions. Okay, they don't have there is characteristics are not important, but the functions are important. Okay, फॉर एग्जाम्पल उन्होंने दिया है कि मुंबई में मेट्रोपॉलिटन और पुणे मेट्रोपॉलिटन रीजन्स है, या फिर फंक्शनल रीजन्स एक फोकल पॉइंट के हिसाब से भी एक्ट कर देते हैं क्योंकि वो सराउंडिंग एरियाज को कनेक्ट कर देते हैं. सो सच टाइप ऑफ रीजन्स आर कॉल्ड एज फंक्शनल रीजन्स. नेक्स्ट इज द क्वेश्चन नंबर 2. On what factors are regions differentiated? Give examples. A region in an area of a country or any part of the world with same and common features, so such regions are differentiated. They can be differentiated on the basis of physical factors, या फिर man-made factors, या फिर social, या फिर cultural factors. Depends. Okay. So regions may be differentiated like administrative boundaries or political boundaries, like Uttar Pradesh and Punjab is an example of two regions which are distributed by political and government bodies. The regions can be differentiated with socio-cultures, example by the way of language, by the way of lifestyle, the clothes which they wear, the religion which they follow. Example, Gujarati language in Gujarat and Marathi language in Marathi. So this is how it is differentiated. So like that you can differentiate. Next is question number 3. Per capita income is not the real indicator of regional development. Explain why. Abhi regional development is not only dependent on per capita income, but it is dependent on all other things also. Okay, now what is per capita income? Per capita income is per person in a country. What is the income of that per person? Okay. Now, it is an index of development because more the per capita income, higher is the standard of living, but it is not always true. The per capita income gives you an idea about the average income of the people in the country, but it does not explain how income is distributed among the people. Some people may be rich and some may be below the poverty line also. The per capita income is also related to only economic aspect of the country, but it does not take into the account of literacy rate, health, sex ratio, age structure and life expectancy. Sometimes there is a rise in per capita income because of increase in the price of the commodities also. If the population is low, the per capita income will be high, but the regional development will be slow because such regions have shortage of skilled laborers and further the supply of development. Therefore, we can say that per capita income is not the real indicator of regional development. Now, next is question number 6. Find the correlation and between the land under permanent crops and GDP by using the Sperman's rank correlation. सबसे पहले you just have to do rankings to them. Okay, सबसे जो smallest है, okay, smallest है उसको लास्ट में रैंकिंग दो और सबसे बिगेस्ट है तो उसको फर्स्ट रैंकिंग दो. सो हियर वी हैव द काउंट ऑफ 11325.66. so it is given the first rank. Okay, so like that you have to give the rank for x1 and x2. Okay, so you can see in the table A, B, C, D, x1 is given. Okay, so now look, have a look at it. So by that you can give the ranking to it. After that we have your y1. Okay, here also the rankings are given from 1 to 12, and then you have to subtract r1 and r2 and then you have to take a square. Apply the formula of rank correlation and solve it. This practical is also done in the practical number 6, that is data analysis of correlation, which I have already uploaded. The practical number 6 rank correlation, which is there on my channel. So by this answer you can give the conclusions. So the land under permanent crops GDP is 0.59 or plus 59, which means that there is a positive correlation between two variables. Okay, it is not perfect positive correlation, it is slightly less than this. It means that the amount of land under permanent crop is more and GDP is also more, and when the amount of land under permanent crop is less, then GDP of that land is also less. This is because the production of crops contributes to the growth of GDP. So the answer 0.59 suggests that this is not true for all the countries, as there are other factors and activities as well as products which are also responsible for GDP growth other than the production of crops dependency. So by that you can conclude the answers. Okay, so this is all about the exercise of lesson number 7, region and regional development. Thank you for watching. Do subscribe the channel.